care workers in our nursing homes actually are not part of our public service, so collective bargaining is governed by the Industrial Relations Act. Yet, Mr. Speaker, the Premier for some reason is trying to do an end run around that law by implanting changes to the rules that guide collective bargaining into an unrelated law, the bill before the House, whose purpose is to define essential services in nursing homes. I don't see him trying to do an end run around the Public Service Labor Relations Act to say force Brunswick liquor employees to have their wages compared to those of minimum wage workers in convenience stores selling alcohol. That's not happening. So my question to the Premier, Mr. Speaker, is will he sever the bill before the House to remove the offending provisions that would change the basis for collective bargaining in this province for nursing home workers and just keep the bill to its primary purpose to define essential services in nursing homes so that we can get that bill passed properly in this House and ensure that nursing homes and residents are secure, knowing in the new year that they will not be risking
Member. The Honourable the Premier.
Thank you for the question. And no, the fact is that the Bill 17 coming forward in its current form is the only form that actually deals with the situation, and I cannot consider it severed at all, Mr. Speaker, because let's face this, eight municipalities around the province voted and said we must deal with an unfettered binding arbitration. They said we cannot manage our resources in our communities. And here the leader of the Green Party would stand up, ignore what the municipalities are saying and say, oh, but you can do it in government. You can do it in this fashion. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't believe the taxpayers believe it's unreasonable to say, you know, we should look at comparable salaries in the province. We should look at private sector and public sector. We should look at the total compensation package. We should be fair with taxpayers in our province who are paying the bills. I don't believe that the people of this province would expect their tax dollars to be managed in any other way, Mr. Speaker, but to be prudent with them. Thank you.
The member for Fredericton South, leader of his party.
Mr. Speaker, New Brunswick's not in a closed market for home care or care workers needed to ensure that we care for people in nursing homes properly. All provinces are competing to overcome shortages. We must be, at minimum, competitive with the other maritime provinces in wages and working conditions. Interestingly enough, the doctors in Nova Scotia recently signed a new 4-year contract with the government that will give them an 8% pay increase over the next 4 years. To stay competitive, the Premier likely will be looking to match that pay increase for MB docs as they're in negotiation with them today. That is considerably more than the Premier's final offer to the nursing home workers. Why is the Premier insistent on imposing austerity on the working women and men in nursing homes? Is it because those women and men are working class, or is he just phobic about labour unions?
The Honourable the Premier.
So, Mr. Speaker, just for clarification, I know it doesn't matter much to the leader of the Green Party, but comparators are very important. So let's look at the doctor situation in Nova Scotia. Lowest paid doctors in the country, Mr. Speaker. That's why they made that step change. Lowest paid doctors in the country. But you know what happened in Quebec about 2 months ago? They reduced their salaries by 10%, Mr. Speaker, because they were the highest paid in the country, or very nearly so. So I think Alberta might be higher. So that's the reason these things are done. Not in isolation, Mr. Speaker. It was a comparison of other jurisdictions and where they fit. Novel concept. That is exactly what this concept is, Mr. Speaker. Exactly. Looking at the comparators and saying what is right for New Brunswick? What are the comparators around our region? How do we land at the right number and be fair to workers and be fair to taxpayers? That's what this is all about, being fair. And I know that it's convenient to just say half a story, throw out half a truth, Mr. Speaker, but the idea here, let's put all the facts on the table. Let's look at all the relevant information and let's make a decision based on the facts, and that's exactly what this bill does, Mr. Speaker.